Hey everybody, this is Kimberly with Fun For You In-Home Pet Care, and today we're going to talk about the pet's quality of life scale. So today we're going to talk about that quality of life scale for pets, and this has become kind of a personal journey for me, not only as a professional pet sitter, but also because I've had a handful of great pets in my life that have lived 17, 18 years. And at some point in every pet's life, they're going to become a special needs pet. And this is what has helped me become a better pet sitter, is just experiencing my own life, my own pet's life's journey. And so today we're going to talk about Foxy and Ellie Mae and Cinder and Marlin and Nemo and the whole menagerie that we've had over our lifespan. So when you use a quality of life scale, for your pets, you're going to document several things: hurt and pain, hunger, hydration, hygiene, happiness, and mobility. And in the course of documenting all of those things, you're going to do an expanded, kind of like a dialogue with yourself, with your pet, and then for your veterinarian to understand where this pet's health is going. So let's first talk about pain and hurt. So one of the questions that you have to ask is, are you able to manage your pet's pain? Is this pain temporary, or is this something that's going to be with them the rest of their life? And how do you manage that? Is their pain being managed well with medications and with other alternative therapies like chiropractic, laser therapy, underwater therapy, all sorts of different things that you could be doing, acupuncture and acupressure. In my Foxy Brown's case, when her disc pain was getting really bad in her back and her hips, one of the things we couldn't do was acupuncture because she was too squiggly and wormy, and we couldn't keep the needles in her. So that was not an alternative therapy that we could try. We did go to the chiropractor twice a week. We did do laser therapy. We did try all sorts of different pain management triads. And over the course of her journey, you know, at some point it wasn't working anymore, but we had to keep trying and trying because we knew she wasn't done. Just managing their pain is number one priority for you. Obviously, you never want your pet to suffer. But then secondly, is that pain manageable, or is that something that's going to just keep exacerbating because of the conditions? So the second thing you're going to document in this quality of life scale is hunger and nutrition. So is your pet still having a good appetite? Are they eating well and managing their own diet, not needing a lot of encouragement or coaxing to get their nutrition in? Number two is, do they have a poor appetite, and is the medications that they're taking or is their pain affecting their appetite? And if so, how are you going to help them get the nutrition they need? And then the third quality of life parameter is, do they have no appetite? Are you having to force feed them? Are you really struggling to try and figure out something? In Foxy's case, when she was taking some really crazy medications, she did not want to eat. And we tried so many different things. I hand fed her. We changed to puppy food. We tried kitten food. We had to manage protein intake, so we had to change to vegetable-based foods. Anything that she would eat, you know, at one point was what we were doing. And with your own pets, you have to make sure that they're getting nutrition so that they can stay strong and heal, if healing is part of the outcome that you're hoping for. So make sure that those pets stay fed somehow. The third parameter in the quality of life scale is hydration, and whether or not your pet is able to stay hydrated and hydrate well on their own, or are you having to start managing their hydration for them or assisting them in some way. The first scale is, if they're just hydrating normally, that's great. Secondly, if they're not hydrating well, especially in cats, are they at risk of renal failure or going into renal failure because they are so dehydrated and they're no longer taking in liquids like they need? If you're having to do subcutaneous fluids to help them stay hydrated, that's obviously probably an end stage type of situation. With one of our own cats who was almost 20 years old, that became another step in their journey, is that we were doing subcutaneous fluids. But that truly is something that you're not going to be doing for very long if they're in a chronic renal failure stage or some other sort of health condition that is impacting their quality of life. The next issue on the quality of life scale is hygiene, and whether or not your pets are still managing their own grooming protocols. Especially for cats. This is important because cats love to groom themselves. That's part of who cats are, is they are fastidious groomers. And if they are all of a sudden not grooming themselves, or they're not allowing you to groom them anymore, that's a good indicator that they hurt. And it's a good indicator that something is wrong. So keeping an eye on their hygiene, and if you notice that your cat is no longer keeping up on their own self-care, you might want to get them to the veterinarian and have them checked out. The fifth tenet of the quality of life scale is happiness and your pet's own kind of mental health situation. Happiness, attitude, and interaction. Is your pet still interacting with family and other pets like they always have? That's a good indicator that things aren't so bad. The second part of that is, are they starting to retreat? Are they getting less social? Are they maybe a little grumbly sometimes? That's an indicator probably that they hurt, or that they're not feeling well. And then the third tenet of that happiness scale is if they're hiding or if they're no longer coming out to greet family and other pets, that's a really good indicator that things are not going well for them and they don't feel good. So definitely make sure that you monitor their happiness and mental health. And the final tenet of the quality of life scale for pets is mobility, and whether or not your pet can still get around and be mobile like normal, or if they're having trouble getting up, doing their normal routine, going outside to use the bathroom or to use the yard to go to the potty. If they are no longer willing or able or want to go on walks, that's a really good indicator. With Foxy, when her mobility got really challenging, this was something that was hard. It was very hard for us to say we cannot take her for walks anymore because she suffered so much afterwards. It just caused her too much pain. She loved to walk. She was an athlete. She was a very athletic dog her whole life. And at 16 years old, we got to the point where she couldn't go for walks anymore, and we just had to leave her at home when we took the other dogs. So that was really hard. And mobility is a tough one because pets want to be mobile and they want to be able to go outside and they want to be able to take care of their potty breaks themselves. And when they can't do that anymore and they're starting to have accidents in the house because they can't get up and walk or they can't go outside, that affects them mentally, it affects them physically, but it is hard. It's hard for us as humans to watch it happen, and it's hard on your pet. So be very mindful of how much you're expecting from your pets and make sure that they understand that you're not going to give up on them and that you're going to help them as best you can. But all of these quality of life issues are things that when you start documenting them on a quality of life scale, or in our case, we had a journal that I kept notes on for 2 years, you know, good days and bad days, and all of the parameters of the hygiene and the hurt and the pain management and all that. It becomes a big story and a kind of a conversation, a hard conversation that you have to have with your veterinarian and with your family, and just say, you know, we're at a point where the quality of life for this pet is no longer good. And then you do the kind and the humane thing and you set them free. In Foxy's case, we didn't have to make that decision. She died on her own here at home one day while I was out, and no one was here. It was bizarre and wonderful at the same time. She spared us from having to make that decision, but she just laid down and took her last breath. And, you know, today would have been her 18th birthday. So be mindful of your pets and just don't keep them alive for your own sake. Definitely be mindful of their needs. And when it's time to let them free, just let them free. If you found value in the information I shared today, please like and subscribe.